Good afternoon and welcome from the Garden of Portugal. This is the Algarve. This is round 7 of the GT1 World Championship. I'm David Croft, and alongside me for this qualifying race, Formula One legend John Watson, looking forward to an excellent hour's racing.
Yes, indeed, and the sun's now just beginning to set over the back of the grandstand. So for the drivers on some parts of this up and down roller coaster racetrack, that's going to be an issue. Sun in their eyes at the critical part of the lap.
Still on this formation lap, hour-long race. Remember, they all swap round. The pit window will open after 25 minutes. It will shut on 35 minutes. The drivers have to change round. It's team sport, this GT Championship. And as you can tell from our camera view there is hardly a flat piece of land here at this Portimao circuit. Real uphill and down dale, if indeed there are such a thing.
And actually at the speed the cars are travelling right now on this formation lap, coming down turn 16, you can see in fact just how steep that decline is, and then they uphill up to the start-finish line.
So the yellow of the Corvette, the black and white of the Sumo Nissan, the two Maseratis are waiting there as well for the lights to go green, and go green they do. And we ride on board now, looking at that Corvette, getting a great getaway from the line and hurtling down into turn 1. But look, the two Maseratis, one of the Maseratis, the Nissan, quickly swallowing up Miguel Ramos, who's lost so many places going into turn 1.
Far too conservative, having had a reasonable start. This got absolutely swamped by 6 other cars.
So the first two of Alexander Margaritis, Michael Crum through without any bother whatsoever. Already that Corvette way off into the distance as we reach the end of the first sector, still riding on board with Miguel Ramos. I don't know if he's got a problem or not, but he is going backwards at the moment in that Maserati, down at about 8th place. Corvette from Nissan, Lamborghini, and then 3 Maseratis all in a row. Aston Martin, Lamborghini, Maserati, and Aston Martin completing the top 10. Thomas Enger has made up a place at the start, and meanwhile jostling and dueling out of that hairpin and losing out to one of the Ford GTs is Richard Westbrook in the other Matek Competition Ford.
But in the meantime, the Corvette's just streaking away from the rest of this field as they watch going into turn 9, then the drop off down the hill.
Neil Yarni is the Ford GT that's just got ahead of Richard Westbrook, fighting the car there, losing a little bit of grip, trying to go around the outside at the top of the hill. This is ambitious from Westbrook. Has he made it stick? Looks at the moment like he has. Great move from the FIA GT2 champion.
Well, he took the chance of taking the long way around the corner. Everybody would naturally run to the inside to block or consolidate their position, but look, traffic all over the place.
Absolutely, you just cannot move. Only 4.7 kilometers long, this track. You just can't move, get swallowed up in that traffic. Really hard to hold your stationers. Round the parabolica they come now. If a car can just clip the green concrete, that's the best line to take through that right-hand corner. And the Corvette, after just one lap, 1.6 seconds out in the lead. Fantastic opening lap from Alexander Margaritis.
And we got 4 manufacturers in the first 4 positions. The battle of the Maseratis coming onto pit straight, and 2 cars side by side all the way down the pit straight, running behind that Lamborghini. 3 Maseratis, 2 side by side. Who's going to get into turn 1 first? And the car behind, there's 2. Well,
you did
surprise! I thought that car had position. That car, the Maserati on the inside, should have had position, but it didn't.
You really did fancy Alexandre Pierre Guido just to get past Mikhail Bartels. They had the inside line, couldn't make it stick, and Bartels now hunting the Lamborghini in front of him of Dominic Schwager. Bartels in the black and turquoise blue Maserati behind that Lamborghini. Alex Muller in the black and white Lamborghini as the 3 go down the main straight. Bartels pulls over behind Schwager. Muller's just waiting there, had to lock up his brakes a bit early, but look at that, Bartels has made it through. And who's that locking up there and going wide?
Well, that I think was one of the Fords. I'm not sure which one it was, but certainly a major lock-up coming into turn 4.
Could have been Richard Westbrook just flashing through our screen there.
Well, we know Richard has taken some of the more unusual lines on the opening laps to try and make up spaces. down the inside of one of the Reiter Lamborghinis.
He's going for it, you know, on the inside where it's more bumpy, and he just shoves that Reiter Lamborghini off the track, muscles his way through there, Richard Westbrook. Still that Corvette behind the Aston Martin. They've closed right up now, and well, look at this, Miguel Ramos is under pressure once again, and Ramos is being jostled out of it as they head up the hill towards the left-hander, and the Portuguese driver has lost yet another place. And Thomas Enger under pressure, as Xavier Masson down the inside at the turn 4 manages to make up a place, up in the 9th place.
Tom was not happy about it. He didn't maybe expect the move to come at turn 4, but well, again, executed. Manoeuvre took the ground away from the Aston, forced the Aston wide, which gave then the Corvette the opportunity to get a good run up through turn 5.
As Jos Menton locks up there, Richard Westbrook holding his tail, and Westbrook doesn't need a second invitation. Now he's in the slipstream. Can he muscle his way past? No. And under braking he might be able to, and I think he's made that move stick as well. Westbrook was so aggressive out there when he's got the chance. And this is what Thomas Mutsch, who's currently second in the championship table, will be wanting from his teammate, to try and get as far up as possible. And Westbrook's on the charge once again. Down the main straight, there he goes. 2 cars just ahead, having their own little tangle going into turn 1. Westbrook round the outside. Has he managed to get ahead and stay ahead? Only just. I think he has.
So the battles at the back of the field are the ones that are keeping us on our toes. Meanwhile, the 2.3 second advantage for Margulis and the Corvette, he's gone.
But I tell you what, he's got to be careful if he's leaving the track, and he's been shown the black and white flag already. He's only one warning away from a drive-through penalty, as through goes Westbrook on the Swiss Racing Team Nissan of Max Nielsen. And Westbrook now up into 14th place. Baz Linders, you can see in the Ford GT just coming in a shot there. He's trying to keep on his tail as well. These Ford GTs starting to plough their way through the field, just a lap after lap after lap. And it's Warren Hughes who's coming up next in that Nissan Sumo, if Richard Westbrook can get past the Aston very quickly.
The difficulty that Ford are facing is they're having to put themselves and their car into jeopardy. A lock-up on the down the inside. Another pass easily made because of another driver making an error up in turn 13. That's when we just see one of the 4 GTs gone off track.
Yeah, and that's easily done down there. Very bumpy under braking. If you get your braking completely mixed up, you're fortunate and you're breathing a huge sigh of relief that there's a big runoff area for you to make amends on. Let's just see a little replay of what happened now. All cars getting up in a tangle.
Yeah, that's just
Baz Linders, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, just the Lamborghini just drove down the inside.
And who's that just making a little move? The Corvette of Xavier Masson on the Lamborghini. And Masson looks to me that he's moved himself up into 8th place.
The Maserati and the Lamborghini getting very close, side by side down the hill through turn 9. Can he go around the long way around the outside and not run off track? He had to get out of it.
Very difficult for Basseng to go the long way round there. And Ramos has got himself way out of line at the top of the hill.
I mean, I don't know what he did. That was sort of unnecessary.
And there's the young driver Aston Martin coming under pressure, as well as Westbrook dives up on the inside. He was already up into 12th place. He just has to give way right at the last moment, as Richard Westbrook. Otherwise Thomas Enger was going to be a brick wall right in front of him. Enger would have gone one way, the Ford GT going the other. Meanwhile, further up ahead, here comes the Lamborghini and the Corvette on the inside of the Maserati, and the Hexus Aston Martin as well. And that Maserati just losing 3 places in the space of 1 corner. Xavier Masson is a man on a mission, shall we say, at the moment in that mad crop racing. Seriously, it's like stock cars out there without the contact.
I mean, this is just, I mean, it's great entertainment. The visuals, look at it, spectacular. You've got now, you've almost got a dozen cars within the space of about 2 or 3 seconds.
Oh, and then Ramos gets a tap from Enger right at the back. This is all the battle for 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, down to about 15th place at the moment.
So they make the drop down out of turn 15. Now it's 2 cars, Maserati, Lamborghini side by side.
Enger under braking's gone through.
Fantastic. Watch for Westbrook, also trying to take advantage. And now behind Neil Yarney. Neil Yarney in the second Ford, right on the gearbox of his teammate. He's got the momentum. 4 cars, well, 3.5 cars wide on the main straight.
This is absolutely incredible. Pierluigi Guido is struggling up ahead. Someone's just locked up going into the first turn. Is that Westbrook diving down the inside? Is that Masson diving the inside? That is Mark Basseng, who spun out.
Or was he pushed?
Who knows? Who cares, quite frankly? This is fantastic. Meanwhile, the pit lane window is now open and they'll peel off into it. And if you're in the middle of this battle, it might just be well worth your while getting out of it and getting into the pit straight away. As you can see, I think that's Ramos in the Vitaphone Maserati who's come in, and I don't blame him for coming in quite quickly.
I think they just need to get in as soon as possible, if for no other reason, to get some relief, get out of the car, let their teammate get in. Whether we're going to see a battle like this when everyone's mandatorily gone through their pit stop cycle, we have to wait and see. But this first half of the race, and poor Miguel Ramos sort of gets pulled and chucked out of the car by Enrique Benoldi, saying, you know, even if I've got to win the race, getting into the car, that's what I'm going to do.
Warren Hughes gives way to Jamie Campbell-Walter. Meanwhile, the Mark VDS team, they're changing the tyres as well, and car number 24, that Reiter Sport of Christopher Haas, I think he's managed to get past Alessandro Pierre Guidi. He's just got him. So Pierre Guidi is another one that's just starting to fall back a little bit as well. He who has managed their tyres up to this stage could well benefit in the long run here.
There's been a fantastic battle taking place up until the pit stop entry became open. What will happen from now on is that the teams will make the best use of the tyres they have available. I don't think it'll be as frenetic, but for sure those that look after their car and their tyres will be best placed. This is the Benoldi car.
Yeah, this is Enrique Benoldi, and at the moment Enrique Benoldi, as you can see behind that Sumo Nissan of Jamie Campbell-Walter. Now who's got the better top speed down the straight should easily be the Nissan. You can see it just moving ahead, but under braking when they get to turn 4. Has the Maserati got an advantage there? And he's certainly close enough to have a little look under braking here. Oh, fantastic stuff from Enrique Benoldi. Makes the move on the inside before they get to the hairpin. Jamie Campbell-Walter looking in his mirrors thinking, where have you gone? And he's ahead of you now.
Aston sneaks up the inside of the Lamborghini as well.
So the Corvette manages to stay ahead of the Nissan and Mark Henrici, but where's our third place man in this battle? Oh, Andrea Bertolini might just have fancied his chances. Now he'd got past the other Nissan of nicking second place, but Peter Dumbreck comes out ahead of him. To be right on board with Peter Dumbreck, who at the moment's behind the Portuguese driver Pedro Lamy.
Now an opportunity for the Maserati, Andrea Bertolini behind the Nissan, because the gap between the Aston and the Nissan is just... The Nissan can't quite get a move going up into turn 10 and turn 11, 12. Whereas the Maserati can sit, watch this, think about it, where am I strong, make that really work for me, put myself in position coming up to turn 14, that's the turn to the left at the top of the hill, and then think about the exit of turn 16. The Nissan is not going to pass the Aston Martin before they get back onto the straight, unless a real do-or-die effort down the inside. Well, thanks, John, you got it right again.
It's elementary, my dear Watson.
But the Maserati's gone through as well.
Yeah, there you go, the Maserati through, and Pedro Lamy has just lost a couple of places. They must have made a huge amount of places up in the pit stops. Look at that, the Aston Martin just having a little go, diving down the inside on Neil Yarni.
No, that's Nicola Prost now. Nicola's taken over from Neil Yarni, and that's what Neil was concerned about. Nicola's too conservative. He hasn't got the confidence in the car to manhandle it, and again he's being allowed himself to be mugged by his 3 cars have overtaken him. The Nissan slithering down the inside, and Nicola just really not being prepared to defend, look after his own position.
Oh, and it's contact! Enrique Benoldi is tagged from behind, and he spins 360 degrees and rejoins the race once again. As down we go through the Parabolica, that Nissan's got the grunt. Has he got a decent toe as they head down the main straight?
He came out of turn 16 better than the Corvette in front. He carried more speed. We know he's got good straight line speed. Corvette goes defensive. Now what's the Nissan going to do? No, it can't look down the inside this time. Again, one of the Maseratis is going to come into play, probably a little bit later on this lap, but turn 4 will be exciting. Can Dumbreck be brave? No, but a lock-up from the Maserati that's going to go a lap down.
Isn't he just? He needs to get out of the way, that Maserati, and get out of the way quickly because the leading trio are now on him.
No, stay there. I want to see these three lead cars get even closer together. Keep the Maserati in the... Now the Nissan down the outside into turn 6. Watch for the Maserati behind.
And he is getting in the way, that Maserati. The Corvette's been slowed up, but look at that! Andrea Bertolini, he might just make a little bit of an advantage here, but no! The Nissan just slams the door on him. Corvette stays out in front, but for how much longer? 12 minutes to go.
Keep that Maserati ahead of the Corvette. Now it's pulled out of the way. The Corvette now again going defensive on the right. We've got Peter Dumbreck and the Nissan looking to come down the outside. Be careful the Maserati doesn't slip round. Oh, goes up the inside. He's taken the lead.
Brilliant piece of driving by Peter Dumbreck there. The Maserati's going to challenge Henrici as well into the corner, but I think Henrici's got it covered. But wonderful stuff there from Dumbreck, who spotted that Henrici was covering the inside line and then slingshotted from the outside round turn 1. Fabulous piece of driving.
I mean, really, really good motor racing. Peter Dumbreck thought that one out. He stitched up the Corvette, made him go to the right. It meant that his entry speed into turn 1 was going to be compromised. It meant that he was going to run wide on the exit. So Dumbreck stayed in the left, cut back under the Corvette. Now he's in the lead, just going to disappear. And now there's no chance, in my view, of the Maserati, who will put the Corvette under threat, doing anything about the lead of the Nissan.
Oh, you'd have been proud of that one, Watty, wouldn't you, all those years ago?
Just comes naturally to me.
It's just under 7 minutes to go. So we have a new leader. Meanwhile, here's the battle between the Maserati car number 2, running down in 7th place at the moment, stuck behind the Aston Martin of Jonathan Hershey.
Here's the battle that's gone on for 3rd place and 2nd place. The Nissan now clearly a 2nd and the plus in the lead, but the Maserati, can it stick close enough to the Corvette? The speed of the Corvette down the straight, not quite as strong as that of the Nissan, so maybe Andrea Bertorelli can do something, but too far behind.
Well, he's got to watch as well, Henrici. Where does he point that car going into turn 1? Because Bertolini will have seen what happened on the previous lap, and he'll know, Henrici, the minute he defends too much on the inside, that Maserati's going to be waiting for him.
Again, as the Corvette is able to pull out sufficiently on the straight to give him the opportunity, the compromise to do what he needs to do, but slow out of turn 4. The Maserati again right up towards the tail of the Corvette. Not close enough again, going defensive. Corvette goes straight across to the right-hand side of the track, then back to the left.
And the Maserati there maybe just having a little look down the inside. I just wonder, has that Maserati got a bit of better traction? There's contact between Hershey and also the number 2 Vidafone car of Enrique Benoldi, and Benoldi goes spinning yet again. What a race he's having.
Well, what's that all about? 2 cars, look, you can just see.
Miguel Ramos there, not happy, is he? As we ride back on board with Mark Henrici once again.
Back again to the left-hand side of the track to defend, down into turn 6. The Maserati maybe to the right of the Corvette. Limited with Corvette, can they get through the corner without compromising the exit? Will they go back to the main straight?
Back for part 2 of Aston Martin versus Maserati we go, and down the main straight, Enrique Benoldi round the outside, takes him easily, and this time there is no contact. Well done, gents.
I think the lesson was learned, and Enrique Benoldi will have been very satisfied with that manoeuvre, almost an identical one to the one that caused the contact between the Maserati and the Aston Martin. I think this time the message came through loud and clear that the Maserati had the right line.
Just must ask Mark Henrici in that Corvette, if he put 300 laps in on the simulator to prepare himself for this track, how many of those laps did he have a Maserati behind him and a Nissan in front of him, or for close company? Because I bet you it wasn't tough on the computer game as it has been today.
Computer games are only help you learn a racetrack. They don't tell you how to go about motor racing.
Mind you, that Maserati's got in front, hasn't he?
He has.
Has Henrici made a bit of a mistake here, I wonder, because the Maserati has moved itself up into 2nd place. It has been a fantastic race, and we are not finished yet, and neither is the Ford GT, as through goes Thomas Much, and moving up into 5th place on Alfred Hager, as we can ride now with Mark Henrici. Now, I wonder, is this where it happened? Passing turn 7.
Do you know what happened? The Corvette blocked down the inside. We saw that. That gave the Maserati the opportunity to switch back. got the power on, got the drive out of turn 6, put himself alongside into turn 7, job done.
It has been a race to remember, this one, and for the Sumo Power Nissan team, the checkered flag awaits for a second race victory. In 2010, they won, of course, the championship race in Silverstone after the Aston was excluded. This time, they're going to reach the checkered flag first in the qualifying race here in Portugal this afternoon. For Nigel Stepney and the boys, a party maybe awaits in the Nissan garage this evening, and where Warren Hughes and Jamie Campbell-Walter celebrated on British soil, it is going to be Michael Crum and Peter Dumbrek who celebrate in Portugal on this Saturday afternoon. They win the qualifying race. Fantastic effort, but in terms of the championship, how vital will that second place be for Andrea Bertolini and Michael Bartels in the Maserati? Commiserations really to the Phoenix Racing Corvette of Mark Henrici and Alexander Margaritis, who went from first to third and pick up 4 championship points. Only the top 3, of course, score points on a Saturday afternoon. The rest scrapping away for places on the grid, and by the looks of it, John, these places are quite important as Aston crossed the line for 4th. And look at that, Thomas Much and Richard Westbrook coming home for 5th and running wide at the final turn as they all battle away. They flash past in the battle for 6th Maserati, 7th Corvette, 8th Lamborghini, 9th Nissan and 10th Aston Martin. Nissan and Lamborghini for 11th and for 12th. What a race this has been. And I know Hayley Coxon is down there and she wants to talk to our race winners.
Peter, it was will he, won't he, and you did. Congratulations.
Well, I saw I had quite a few laps, and you know, I didn't want to destroy my tyres trying to get by him and then leave myself open to the Maserati behind. So it was a case of just take my time, and you know, if worst came to the worst, then we'd have been second. But I could see he was struggling with tyres, and I worked out a move, you know, for a couple of laps, just tried to go to the inside, watch what he did, and then I took the racing line and was able to get by him through the first corner. So from there, you know, it was quite easy just to pull away and just keep my head.
And Michael, an amazing pit stop, 26 seconds the team did it in, and also a great stint by yourself.
Yeah, I mean, it was fantastic. This was our target. Our target was that everyone in the team does a perfect job, and I think today we have absolutely done that. I mean, from qualifying on, pit stop, the move by Peter, it just put the top. It was fantastic to watch, and I'm really delighted for this first proper win for the Nissan GTR on the track. It was, I mean, that's really a big success for us, and thanks to all the team and to Nissan.
Thank you.
Here's the classification then. Win for Nissan by 2.5 seconds from Maserati and Corvette. Well done to Dumbrek and to Crum. Bertolini and Bartels extend their championship lead. Henrici and Margaritis have a podium after a win that possibly got away from them. Great race by Darren Turner and Thomas Enger to come home 4th from where they started on the grid. And Thomas Much and Richard Westbrook as well. They are going to be hounding the Maseratis come the race tomorrow. Good afternoon and welcome from the Algarve to this, the championship race, round 7 of the FIA GT season, the World Championship season in 2010. I'm David Croft. Alongside me here in the commentary box, Formula One legend John Watson. John, if we get a race this afternoon that's half as good as the qualifying race yesterday, then it might take us several months to recover from it.
Well, certainly I still feel breathless after what we saw. Fantastic racing here at Portimao, and well, just a brilliant prospect with the grid that we have for this afternoon's race, and top 5 places filled by 5 different manufacturers.
Let's go down and join Hayley with the pole sitter.
Peter, it certainly was a spectacular performance from yourself yesterday. Now going into the championship race, the question is, are you going out on new tyres?
Yeah, we've saved some good ones for today. I was actually on the old tyres yesterday, so a little bit of security from that, but I know there's some very quick guys around me, and it's a different day, so you know, for me it's just a case of trying to keep it safe and clean, and yeah, it'd be nice to lead away into the first corner and hopefully maybe eke out a bit of a gap.
Great. Thank you, Peter.
Well, here's the front row of the grid once again. Nissan and Maserati, then it's Corvette and it's Aston Martin, and then it's Ford and it's a second Maserati. So 5 iconic brands occupying the top 5 places. Corvette and then Lamborghini, and the second of the Nissan sumo-powered Nissans alongside the Swiss racing team Nissan. Then we go to Cox and Haas and Bertolini as well down there. Sorry, the other Benoldi and Ramos Maserati. 2 Aston Martins occupying the 7th row. Corvette and then Maserati 17 and 18. And then we get down to a lot of Ford GTs occupying the bottom spots here, especially that Mark VDS team, John, who are just picking up bad luck, like you seem to be picking up mackerels in the sea at the moment. They just can't stay away from trouble. All to play for here. 25 points for a win for this championship race. 1 hour to come here in Portimao. And they're going to drop down the hill nice and slowly now behind the pace car in formation. And just one more corner to go, and then that short little rise, they'll see the red lights then that are on. And when they go green, we can get racing here in Portimao this afternoon. Nissan on the right-hand side of your screen as you look. Maserati on the left-hand side. That's the front row. Already that Maserati wants to get on with things. Can't overtake the Nissan just yet. Lights now go green. We're on board with Darren Turner, and we can see that Nissan streaking away. Great start by Peter Dunbrake, but behind that Ford GT, taking the inside line. On board now with Thomas Much behind the Corvette. Oh, almost tangled, and I think he did. Just pumped that Lamborghini out of the way, and he's crashed. And into Miguel Ramos and Enrique Benoldi's Vitavone racing team Maserati, and there's 2 stricken cars on the track there. You could see that from on board that it was going to happen.
You could see it before the lights went out, because the cars behind the front 2 rows were already fanning out, making their moves, and you got the classic chase of coming into turn 1, everybody together, the concertina, and inevitably one Maserati taken out on the Lamborghini.
And look at that, Darren Turner and the Aston Martin has moved up now into 3rd place ahead of the Corvette as we go back on board now with Thomas Much riding down in 5th place at the moment, which is where, of course, he started on the grid, streaming through in the sunlight here. What a brilliant sight that looks, and now back on board and over the crest.
Right, all the way now, the drop down into turn 9. The Ford GT putting pressure on the Maserati going through. This is where Richard Westbrook pulled off some of the most outrageous overtaking manoeuvres. Looks to go down the inside of the Maserati on the opening lap too early. So the Ford GT, Thomas Much, just decides to wait. And
now we can come across the line, and look at that Ford GT. It's Thomas Much behind Alfred Hager. He's not behind for long. Got a great toe coming out of the Parabolica. Can he go round the outside? No! Hager's managed to cover him, but Hager then goes too wide, and he's lost 1, he's lost 2, he's lost 3 places, and nearly now 4 places to the second of the Aston Martin. Yeah, well, let's just watch the start from the head-on shot here. Great move away from the Nissan, but the trouble all came from behind. And I think it was that Swiss racing Nissan that tagged there the Lamborghini. And then sadly, running wide, Enrique Benoldi heading straight into it.
And somewhere in that was the Nissan of Jamie Campbell-Water, who had to make a pit stop for reasons we yet to find out.
Yeah, just looking now at Darren Turner's start, riding on board with him. He had to go wide as well. And we're back with it live, and what's that? One of the Reiter Lamborghinis going off the track there.
Both of them went off. One cut the corner, the other ran wide on the exit of turn 1. So both the Lamborghinis in trouble in turn 1.
Well, this is, I think, back to the start again now. We're watching another replay. This is Jamie Campbell-Walter, and we can maybe see what happened to him. Squeeze for room, Corvette ahead of him. And does he get tagged? There he gets tagged
behind, absolutely.
By what I think of the Reiter Lamborghinis right next to him. Let's see if we can hear from Jamie Campbell-Walter now, down with Hayley.
Jamie, unfortunately, it looks like the Aston may have hit you out there. Can you take us through the incident?
Well, I can't really tell you what happened or who did it, but I was on the right-hand side on the run down to the first corner, so obviously I had to go on the inside, and it all got a bit backed up, and the guys on the left were travelling faster. And then went through turn 1, no problem, following the Corvette, and I thought it's all a bit close, so I just stayed to the right-hand side, and then someone tapped me in the left rear corner, sort of spun me half round, and then someone else has obviously collected my left front wheel, which is bent our steering track rod, so it's put us out the race, and you know, in my eyes, it's just another silly move.
Thank you for talking to us, Jamie.
2000 GT champion Jamie Campbell-Walter. Huge amount of experience, John, as we just saw Freddie Makovic getting past Alfred Hager there. Is he right? Was that someone cutting across, a stupid move on him?
I would say get him into the commentary booth, tell it like it is, Jamie, because that's what we want to hear. He's naturally upset because he did get tapped on the right rear, which spun him round, then there's further contact. And of course the drivers are told in the driver briefings to behave properly. The difficulty is, as soon as you put your helmet on, the visor comes down, you go into a different personality. You go total Jekyll and then Mr. Hyde, and that's what happens. And Jamie rightly saying that those guys who drive like that have no place in GT racing.
Oh, and who's got a puncture there?
One of the Maseratis.
One of the Maseratis coming down the straight at the moment. Big puncture to that left rear tyre. Car number 34, Nicholas Meyer-Meinhof. Brilliant rasping sound coming out of that engine.
Yeah, that 90-degree throb of a Detroit V8.
Oh, Sergiara, sorry, Sergiara coming in for a drive-through penalty anyway, now spinning on that final corner, and I wonder, we saw in the GT3 race, John, so many cars having trouble on this final corner.
Yeah, he just loses the back over the crest, and nothing he can do is hold on, dip the clutch, but of course that set of tyres, apart from anything else, when he drops the clutch and does a massive, well, burnout almost, you can forget about any more worthwhile laps when he rejoins the track on that set of tyres.
Pit window is now open. For the next 10 minutes, the pit stops can be made. All 4 tyres, remember, need changing. And 2 crewmen will scamper around, putting on the new rubber while the drivers sort each other out.
Well, let's keep an eye on the lap times once the Nissan jumps into the pits to see whether Maserati have got anything left in the tank in terms of out-and-out pace. So where has the Nissan? Is it in, or is the Nissan certainly in? Maserati follows it in.
Right, so let's follow them into the pit lane, and now the crews have an awful lot to do, and the Ford GT coming straight in as well. So Richard Westbrook is going to be taking the wheel. Now, can the crews do a super speedy change here and promote one of these cars up the order, I wonder?
Well, it'll be status quo when everybody cycles through their pit stops, but it's the Ford that was 5th on the road, the 3rd car that came into the pit. That will be the pit stop that will be the key to Richard Westbrook's, because if he can get out ahead of the Aston Martin of Darren Turner and Thomas Enger, that will be a major result.
2 tyres changed on the Maserati, and barking orders down at Nissan. Whilst the tyres are all changed, and out of the pits comes that Maserati as one of the Astons now pulls in, and he's going to leapfrog. He's going to leapfrog that Nissan. They've had a problem with their pit stop, and it's still there, still stuck, and they've taken about 3 seconds too long.
And I think Richard Westbrook in the Ford GT, there it is. Now, is that ahead of the Nissan, or is it behind? I thought I saw it passing the Nissan pits, but just have to look again and see.
Now, there's Westbrook coming out the head of those cars. Is he past the Nissan? It looks like it in the pit stop. Westbrook is off and away, and also quite crucially for the championship as well, Michael Bartels and the Maserati, they are absolutely ecstatic down at the Vitaphone Maserati team.
But this is the car I'm going to keep an eye on.
Out comes now the Corvette, and there comes Richard Westbrook past the Swiss racing team Nissan, and Westbrook got his foot down but hasn't managed to leapfrog the Corvette in the pit stops.
And if that's the case, it's unlikely he's going to leapfrog the Aston either, but he's right on the rear of the Corvette. It's just come out. Westbrook's had that one lap on his tyres, knows what his car's doing, and now the run down into turn 6. He's been down the inside on many occasions, not quite close enough this time, but certainly threatening the Corvette with a loss of position.
He's trying his damnedest, isn't he, Richie Westbrook, at the moment, and Alex Margaritis knows he is there almost alongside as they move up now towards turns 8 and 9, swinging right-handed. Will Westbrook try and squeeze down the inside? Brave if he can? No.
Not here, but watch him as he drops down the hill through turn 9. He took the opportunity yesterday to do the long way around, put himself on the outside of that Corvette, up into turn 10's 11.
There is the young driver Aston Martin, Thomas Enger, getting in instead of Darren Turner, whose stint has been done.
That was a quick in lap for the Aston Martin. So Darren Turner's done all he's been required to do. Now it's down to Thomas the Tank Engine Inga, who is an absolute star and a great pit stop for Aston.
They did it yesterday as well, the Astons. Fabulous pit stoppers. Now, here comes the championship leaders, Mikael Bartels and the Vitavo Maserati, and there is Thomas Enger out in the second place. The crew made a huge difference.
Well, I think that's a great effort.
So in the battle for second and third in the championship, Richard Westbrook, man on a mission, stuck behind Alex Margaritis, but for how much longer? He will know, he will be told by his team that Enger is in second place at the moment and picking up more championship points. Here comes Westbrook, under braking, down into the hairpin, he's brake latest. Oh, fantastic stuff from Richard Westbrook. Oh, he's an absolute demon behind the wheel of a Porsche. He's an even bigger demon behind the wheel of a Ford GT. That was sensational. So effectively, our race leader at the moment is Mikael Bartels as the Sumo just makes its way past the Swiss Racing Nissan team. Michael Crum on board and Sergi Ara as handing over to Max Nielsen in the other Nissan. But the top three on the racetrack at the moment, they haven't been in for their pit stop yet, so they'll disappear soon and leave that Vidafone Racing Team Maserati to its own devices. It's the 24 Reiter Lamborghini now. Christopher Haas makes his way past Max Nielsen.
Just looking at fastest laps for Bartels and the Maserati, Westbrook and the Ford GT, the Ford lapping 0.3 of a second quicker, and Enger, we're waiting for his first flying lap, so that'll come up at the end of this lap.
Into the pits comes the Hexus and also the Mark VDS Racing Team Ford GT. So the top two pair are now coming into the pits and also waiting to see Purdy Koosmanen take over at the Mad Crop Racing Team as well. The Corvette should be coming in soon. Oh dear, bit of a late stop there by car number 9, Jan Clary getting in place of Freddie McAvicky, who didn't want to stop in time. I tell you, this could catch on in Formula One as well. I love this scampering around that the pit crews do.
It's certainly very difficult with such limited amount of people on pit lane crew. So the car up, still in the jacks, got to get that down once the right side tyres have been changed. Only 2 people allowed to do it. And they've got to carry the tyres up and around and put them back. So it's a very, very difficult choreography to work out.
So you can see Richard Westbrook coming through there and Alex Margaritis behind him in the Corvette. There's a bit of smoke coming there from the back of that Hexus. There is the race leader, the one-time race leader, Michael Crum, behind that Aston Martin, trying to muscle his way through. He's just given it a little bit of a nudge, hasn't he, from behind there?
Yes.
And he's managed to make his way through.
Yeah, in fairness, the Aston was closing the door, and the Nissan was basically far enough up alongside to think that it was entitled to take the corner. And of course, with the Nissan on a run and the Aston just out of the pits, that was a bit of a no-brainer.
Yes, just a touch. Now down the main straight, this gap has disappeared in the space of 3 laps as Richard Westbrook puts his foot to the floor. 270 kilometres an hour, down into turn 1 they go, just too far behind on this occasion, the challenge into turn 1, but I tell you what, he's keeping his foot in there, he's keeping going. 3rd gear, now down, shifting into 1st gear, can't quite squeeze on the inside on this occasion.
He's going to be looking to make a move, if possible, first of all into turn 6. Look how much he's closed up to the rear of the Aston, going through just 2 corners. Now the gap beginning to extend. Enger going defensive to the left-hand side, back to the right, down the inside. Can the Ford do what he did to the Corvette earlier?
He can, you know. I just thought for a minute Thomas Enger had managed to cover his tracks, but Enger just thought against it. Didn't want to come into contact. 3rd is better than being knocked out, certainly. And Westbrook is through. He had a second invitation that he didn't really need. Thomas Enger being chased by this Corvette, and maybe the Aston's starting to struggle a bit for tyres as well, because it's quickly John being swallowed up by this Corvette.
Well, they tell us at Aston, or certainly the drivers tell me, that when the track gets high temperatures, the ambient gets high, there's a drop off in performance. Clearly you can see that the Corvette has caught up a bunch in the last 2 laps. The Aston back to 1 low 45s, the Corvette middle 144s, and there's the outcome.
and the outcome could just be that third and fourth place swap around any moment now. Remember, the hairpin is coming up in about half a kilometre's time as down the back stretch they go. 230 kilometers an hour, under braking, easy peasy. Margaritis squeezes into third place, but can Enger now, using that inside line, get some better traction out of the corner? It's a real drag, isn't it, up to the top of the hill, but Margaritis is ahead and onto the podium. Here's that Nissan, sumo-powered Nissan of Michael Crum. He's all over the back of Thomas Enger. Enger was running in the podium places. He's going to be now down in fifth place unless he can keep his foot in there, but the Nissan's got the inside line and manages to squeeze through, and that Aston is really struggling out there. As down through the Parabolica once more drops this Maserati, championship leader ahead of championship second. Not Richard Westbrook, but his teammate Thomas Much. He's doing all this for Thomas Much and the Ford GT Matak team. It's now 3.2 seconds, so another better lap by about 0.3 of a second by Westbrook, but it's just not enough.
I think Michael Bartel, oh, contact,
and that is Pedro Lamy in the Aston Martin, the young racer Aston Martin. Oh dear, not a happy homecoming for him.
Not at all. Then turn 15 got tagged at the rear. But I think just going back to the lead Maserati, Michael Bartel's cool head, loads of experience. He's not going to have to respond to the pressure, but here is pressure on that Aston Martin from Lamborghini.
Yeah, Thomas Enger in that Aston Martin is really starting to suffer. Look at that under braking, really twitchy. So much easier, wasn't it, for the Ryder Sport of Christopher Haas to pass through, and then the other Ryder Lamborghini of Jos Menton to get himself through, and Thomas Enger is starting to struggle. And our championship leader, Michael Bartels, is still out in front. And after victories so far this season for Bertolini and Bartels at Brno, and also at Paul Ricard, a double win, of course, at Paul Ricard. I think they're going to add the Algarve to their silverware collection. There's the checkered flag, and the Algarve celebrates victory for the Vidovone racing team, Maserati of Bertolini and Bartels, and the gap 1.4 seconds in the end. So congratulations to Ford GT Matak and Richard Westbrook, who really did put up a great fight in the closing stages. Corvette and Alexander Margaritis come home for third place to complete the podium positions, but who's going to pick up the rest of the points? And they're scrapping all the way to the finish line. Long-time leader Michael Crum and Peter Dumbreck pick up fourth place, and now over the finish line, it's a Ford GT that crosses the line. Baz Linders in fifth place from the Aston Martin, and the two Lamborghinis in seventh and in eighth place. 25 points then to our winners of the championship race here in the Algarve. Michael Bartels bringing the car home. Andrea Bertolini starting it all off. He's with Haley.
Congratulations, Andrea. Do you think Michael was on full force there, or do you think he was managing that gap with the Matek?
No, we're not managing, because the Matek was really fast. And don't forget, I think we won the race, but the Matek did the unbelievable weekend, because yesterday start in the last row. So Michael pushed a lot, and he's really on the limit. And we are scared in the pit, because the gap sometimes was also 8-10, 9-10s. But we are here, like I tell you yesterday, it's important we score point, but here, important point for the championship. And when I tell you important point, normally is a victory.
And these are the classifications then after 34 laps. Victory for Bartolini and Bartels in the Maserati, from Westbrook and Much in the Ford GT Matek, and completing the podium is Alexander Margaritis and Mark Henneriti in that Phoenix Racing Car Sport Corvette. Peter Dumbreck and Michael Crum started on pole, could only come home in fourth, and another Ford GT, Baz Linders and Maxime Martin, gentlemanly, working their way up for a good scoring position, finishing position in fifth. It's far better than an awful lot of their championship races have gone this season. Makovicky and Clary leading in one of the Aston Martins, and then we get down into Lamborghinis with Cacelli and Menton and Maserati for the Triple H team of Alfred Hager and Alex Muller. And then more Aston Martins, Darren Turner, Thomas Enger coming home for one solitary point, Stefan Mucker and Pedro Lamy just missing out on a point. And there, Nicholas Prost and Neil Yarni started way down the field, didn't they, for this particular race, and 20th on the grid. I wonder that Ford GT might have finished in a strong point-scoring position had they have had a better luck in qualifying or the race yesterday. And the race completed by Jamie Campbell-Walter and Mark Hughes, who, well, lost out on the first lap, really, and a very unhappy Jamie Campbell-Walter as a result of that crash. The winning feeling, and it's becoming something of a habit for Bertolini and Bartels, who won the qualification race at Brno and have taken another championship race now to add to their victory at Paul Ricard. 2 qualification race victories, 2 championship race victories. Can you see them now being beaten in the run to the title itself, John? They're looking quite formidable, aren't they?
They're always a formidable partnership. 4 strong drivers, probably the best team operation in the paddock. Now, inevitably, they will be caught at some point, and probably more likely now next year. But they've got a great position to go on and once again consolidate victory in this GT1 championship.
Yep, haven't they just? Champagne time. Now the trophies have all been presented. Or is it time for a little pose and a raise to the skies once again? No. Let's spray some champagne around, which is always a good feeling, especially in 30-odd degrees of Portuguese sunshine as we've experienced this afternoon.
And Michael Bartels, I think, rightfully delighted with this afternoon's job and teamwork.
And certainly so he should be. Absolutely timed to perfection, unlike the men catching the bottles who've dropped the ball, dropped the bottle there, sadly. 122 points for Bartels and Bertolini. Their lead now 27 points over Thomas Mutch. Mark Henrici moves up into 3rd in the drivers' table after Darren Turner and Thomas Enger struggled home in 10th place.